Hi, everybody. Thanks so much for joining us today on the podcast. I am welcomed here today by Jason Anderson, who is the EVP of Sales and Marketing at Expedience Software. Hi, Jason.
Hi, Megan.
Hi, thanks so much for being here today. My name is Megan Coper, for those who are listening and watching. I'm the moderator for today's podcast. We're really excited to talk to you all about the great things that Expedience Software is doing, Jason, to make proposal automation easier and faster for people out there. I know there's a lot of different softwares and ways people can go about it, and hopefully today we can offer some clarity and some suggestions for people out there because Expedience is doing some amazing things. Um, to kick things off, why don't we just jump right in? I think a lot of people out there are curious about, you know, why are you seeing people being so interested in generative AI for proposal automation? I know that's a big topic, but maybe we start there and we can have you offer some clarification on that.
Thank you so much, Megan. Excited to chat on the topics. So I'll tell you, generative AI has become the talk of the town when it comes to proposals. And there's a lot of reasons for that. Really, since ChatGPT's release back in late 2022, the first time anyone who's touches proposals, who deals with these important documents, the first time they saw ChatGPT create content, immediately the thought is, "Wow, maybe we can use that for proposals." So the
Mhm.
the challenge has been that while proposals are important, they're time consuming, they're still mostly not automated today. And so a lot of customers are really struggling with the idea of where automation comes in and how they can consider things like generative AI in this super important document creation process.
Gotcha. I gotcha. Yeah, there's definitely a lot of challenges out there. Why are people confused with how they would deploy this?
Specifically for proposals, it's predominantly, you'd be amazed. Most of the companies out there that I speak with still have proposals as a completely manual process, and they're
Really?
unmapped. They don't know how, but while they might have a person or a few people that sort of shepherd the proposal through the process of getting it out the door, but it involves subject experts and contributors and touches many hands along the way. And being unmapped in sort of uncharted waters, they look at this emergent technology and go, exciting, but gosh, I don't even have enough of a knowledge about what we're doing today in order to know where this software, this technology could help us.
Yeah. You're seeing, that sounds very painstakingly. It's painstaking, especially since, there are and have been so many different proposal automation softwares available to people. It seems like a tough way to go to be doing so much manual entering. Very time consuming. I can only imagine how much coordination needs to go into such a giant project. And I understand that some of these proposals can be massive. So, what is it about, proposals still being manually created and why people are so hesitant to take that jump? Are they nervous about it? Are they just not wanting to jump in? Is there too much to learn? Why the big struggle?
Well, I think it starts with proposals are important. These for businesses that rely on a proposal as a core business development vehicle, that document becomes oftentimes the separation between winning business and not winning business. It's a very critical
Yeah.
element of the puzzle for them when it comes to generating revenue, and by nature of if you're creating a proposal like that, if you're an organization that creates a proposal as part of your business development or your sales winning process, you have a complex offering. If this was as simple as how many pegs or how many bolts are in the bag, it wouldn't require a proposal like what you're creating today. So it's a complicated
Mhm.
offering. It's an important vehicle.
Mhm.
You've got a few people who've become experts at getting it through the door. Oftentimes they themselves haven't truly mapped out what they do or how they do it. So there's a lot of moving parts in an important area of their business that's really prevented a lot of companies from just diving off the diving board, so to speak, and embracing proposal automation.
Mhm. Mhm. Do you work mostly? with your, the clients that you're seeing? Are you seeing people finally taking that leap? Like they come to you and they're ready to take that next step? Like, is that at the point where you see people the most?
Oh, absolutely. That's exactly right. Usually, it's not hard to get people to recognize that what they're doing right now isn't scalable, isn't
Mm,
even sometimes isn't even sustainable. What happens if we just have turnover at a key person, or if we as our business processes change, it's not even readily sustainable, let alone scalable. So more and more businesses, and I think back in the pandemic in COVID, when we interrupted the shoulder surfing side by side working that has been involved with proposals for so long, that's when I think the corporate eyes became wide open around why proposal automation or some set of tools that can help us structure a process to get this proposal out the door more consistently is so important. But there's a big difference between, so we're talking about generative AI and talking about proposal automation. And I fear that even as I'm describing this, there's an opportunity to overlap those two words. But in fact, those are two different sort of technologies that are at play
yeah.
today.
Yeah. What is the difference between generative AI and proposal automation? I would love for you to clarify that for everybody.
It's a great question. And it's a common question. That's why it's a great thing to chat about because oftentimes a customer will come to me and ask a very specific question around again, proposal automation and Gen AI as if they're the same. Proposal automation is about locking down the great stuff you do today, those current processes, the overview of your methodology, items that have been signed off on, your assumptions, your detailed process mapping of blah, 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 things that are in that complicated business offering proposal that you have now that have been
Hmm.
vetted and approved, they've been used to win business before, those great things now that are inevitably a part of the jigsaw puzzle, which will
Hmm.
become that proposal ultimately as a bunch of elements that are brought together. Those
Hmm.
things that are the repetitive, valued, great things are locked down in a proposal automation solution, typically in what's considered the proposal content library. That becomes sort of the heartbeat or the center of proposal automation. So in a short, proposal automation is about locking down the great, the items that are again vetted, tested, approved, signed off on by legal, etc. Those things that we can count on, that we can trust, that we want to make sure everyone has access to and has fast access to and consistent access to. If we've got a dozen different proposal writers or salespeople and
Hmm.
responding to that same question
Hmm.
that we're answering it the same way accurately each time. That's proposal automation. Generative AI is about evolving. It's about creating something new. It's about iteration. It's about taking a piece of content that you may have today and trying to address a new market with that content, or take that answer to a question and help evolve that in another use or another purpose, right? From just a big kind of a big framing, if you will, proposal automation again about scaling what you do today, make it faster, better, more accurate. Generative AI is about iterating and evolving those elements for the next use.
Amazing. Thanks so much. That's a great overview, and it really helps paint the picture of how those two things can work so seamlessly together to continue growing your business. So where do people start? I mean, to sum it all up, Jason, if someone is struggling to quote take the leap into proposal automation software and using generative AI as a tool, where do they start? What do you recommend?
It's a great question. I think you start where you, like most of the times, you start where you are, right? So by starting by just mapping out, spending a little time in sort of evaluating the current process right now, and creating a map that you can follow, or that you can then at least consider where are the biggest pains in that process. I would absolutely recommend starting with traditional. I know as a proposal automation company, it makes sense. I would say start with proposal automation, but it is about locking down what you do now well. And so that's less challenging, less scary, it's still complicated. It has moving parts, those things that need to be thought through, but it's
Mm-hmm.
not a big leap of faith per se. It's more about just how do we pick the right technology that helps us in our business processes. But with that in place, I believe it really sets a framework for generative AI. And here's why. Um, Generative AI, and I'd love to have other discussions on just getting into to the generative AI aspects,
Hmm.
because our solution beautifully marries up with these tools. But generative AI is greatly enhanced with good content. When you ask, even if you've used ChatGPT or other Gen AI tools out there, as you provide context, they call it grounding, where you provide elements to the Gen AI before it creates something for you,
Hmm.
the output from Gen AI goes way up. The accuracy, the relevance of that production is highly improved by providing it more context and providing it more information. So by starting with what you have now, starting with those answers, those elements that you're using today to build proposals, building up that content library I was just describing earlier in a vetted, approved kind of like you've got that consolidated single source of truth of our stuff. Locking that down first and then reaching out to Gen AI with those inputs again greatly improves the quality of the results from Gen AI. So yeah, my one bit of advice is start where you are.
Great advice. I hear that, everybody. Great advice. Thank you, Jason. I really appreciate your time today. Um, Looking forward to talking with you about other topics in the future. Thanks so
Awesome.
much.
Thank you, Megan. Talk soon.
Take
Bye
care.
bye.